The zipper of the tent ripped open under the starry Tennessee sky, and Liam's face appeared inches from mine, his breath smelling of beer and campfire smoke. "Ethan, I can't do this anymore," he said, voice cracking, before his lips pressed against mine in a kiss that felt like the world ending and beginning all at once. My heart slammed against my ribs, so hard I thought the whole campground could hear it. For years we had been best friends, college roommates who survived finals together, road trips, bad breakups, and every stupid inside joke, but nothing had prepared me for this. Liam pulled back just as fast, eyes wide like he'd been electrocuted, the same blue eyes that had laughed with me through 1,000 concerts now filled with pure panic. We had driven 8 hours to Bonnaroo because Emily, his girlfriend of 3 years, bailed at the last minute for a work emergency. "Save money, share a tent, bro," he had texted me with that easy grin of his. I said yes without thinking twice. I was 26, a graphic designer scraping by in Nashville, still figuring out why every relationship with women felt like wearing shoes 2 sizes too small. Liam, 27, marketing hotshot with the perfect smile and conservative family back in Atlanta, always seemed so sure of everything. We pitched the tent in the dusty field, laughed about the ridiculous price of festival beer, danced like idiots to the Arctic Monkeys set, and collapsed back here at 2 in the morning, high on music and exhaustion. Then he started talking about how tired he was of pretending everything was fine, how Emily wanted a ring, but he felt nothing when he pictured the future, and suddenly the air in the tent turned thick. 1 second, we were just 2 guys venting. The next, his hand was on my shoulder, and his mouth was on mine. Now he sat in the dark, sleeping bags tangled around our legs, the distant bass from the stage still thumping like a second heartbeat. "Liam, what the hell?" I whispered, afraid my voice would shatter whatever this was. He ran a hand through his blonde hair, the same hair I had seen under graduation caps and baseball caps, and now under the faint glow of a phone flashlight. "I don't know, Ethan. I've been feeling it for months. Every time we hang out, every time you laugh at my dumb jokes, it's like something clicks. But I've never," he trailed off, staring at the tent ceiling as if the answer was written in the nylon. I wanted to tell him I'd felt it too, since the day he helped me move into our freshman dorm, and we stayed up talking until sunrise. Instead, I just sat there, chest tight, wondering if this one kiss had already broken everything we built. Outside, someone laughed too loud at a neighboring campsite, reminding me the real world was still spinning. Inside, our world had just flipped upside down. We didn't sleep. We talked in circles about his parents who still sent him Bible verses every Sunday, about my own mom who had cried when I came out as bisexual in college, but never quite accepted it, about how we were supposed to drive home tomorrow like nothing happened. By the time the sky turned pink, Liam's hand found mine again, tentative this time, and I didn't pull away. That small touch felt bigger than the kiss. It felt like the start of something I had been waiting for my whole life, and the beginning of a storm I wasn't sure we could survive. Morning light sliced through the mesh window of the tent, turning everything golden and unforgiving. Liam was already sitting up, elbows on his knees, staring at his phone like it might bite him. "Emily texted," he said quietly. "She wants pictures of the festival." What do I even say? I rubbed sleep from my eyes and tried to sound normal. "Tell her we're having a blast." "That's not a lie yet." He gave a weak laugh that didn't reach his eyes. We crawled out into the humid Tennessee heat, the festival already waking up around us, people in tie-dye and glitter stumbling toward coffee stands, the smell of bacon and weed mixing in the air. We spent the day pretending. We caught sets by Tyler Childers and Megan Thee Stallion, danced shoulder to shoulder like always, but every accidental brush of skin sent electricity through me. During a slow song at the Watt stage, Liam's fingers grazed mine and stayed. No one around us noticed. No one cared. That freedom felt dangerous, like we had stepped into a bubble that would pop the second we left the farm. Back at the tent that afternoon, we shared warm Gatorade and talked for real. Liam told me how he had dated girls his whole life because that was what was expected, how he used to watch me date guys in college and feel something he couldn't name. "I thought it was jealousy because you seemed free," he admitted. "Turns out I was jealous of the guys. I told him about the nights I lay awake wondering if our friendship was the only reason I hadn't dated anyone seriously in 2 years. We didn't kiss again, not yet, but the space between us had shrunk to nothing. That night, after another long set, we lay side by side in the dark listening to the rain start tapping on the tent roof. Liam rolled toward me. "Ethan, I don't want to go back to pretending." His voice was so soft, I almost missed it under the rain. I turned and met his eyes. "Then don't," I said. This time when he kissed me, it was slower, like he was learning the shape of something new. My hands found his shoulders, steadying us both, and for those few minutes the storm outside matched the one inside my chest. But reality waited just beyond the zipper. When his phone buzzed with another text from Emily. "Miss you, babe. Can't wait for you to propose next month." Liam froze. He didn't answer it. Instead, he looked at me with fear and hope twisted together. "I have to tell her," he whispered. "But how do I even start?" I had no answer. I only knew that whatever came next, we were in it together now. Two guys who had shared everything, except the truth, until one rainy night in a borrowed tent changed the rules forever. The drive home from Bonnaroo felt like crossing a border between two different lives. We left the festival in a haze of dust and half-packed gear. Liam behind the wheel of his Jeep, me riding shotgun with the windows down and country radio playing too loud. Every mile marker brought us closer to Nashville and the conversations we couldn't avoid. Liam's hand kept finding mine on the console, then pulling away like he was testing if it was still real. "My parents are coming to Atlanta next weekend," he said somewhere outside Chattanooga. "They think I'm about to pop the question to Emily. How do I sit at their dinner table and lie?" I stared at the highway blurring past. "You don't have to lie forever, but maybe start with Emily." He nodded, jaw tight. Back in the city, we went our separate ways for the first time in 4 days. I crashed on my couch, replaying every moment in the tent until my head spun. Monday at the design studio felt surreal. My coworker Marcus asked how the festival was, and I muttered something about great music. Inside I was screaming. That afternoon Liam texted, "Talk to Emily. She's devastated. Wants to meet tomorrow." My stomach dropped. I wanted to drive straight to his apartment and hold him, but I knew he needed space to figure this out. Tuesday night, he called me at 2 in the morning, voice raw. She asked if there was someone else. "I couldn't say your name, Ethan. I just said I'm confused." She cried for an hour. I listened while he broke down, feeling every tear like it was my own. The next day, a mutual friend, Sarah, who had seen us dancing a little too close at Bonnaroo, texted me. "You and Liam looked cozy. Everything okay?" I stared at the message until the screen went black. The secret was already leaking. By Friday, the tension had spread like cracks in glass. Liam's boss noticed he was distracted at work. My mom called to ask why I sounded off. And then Sarah posted a festival group photo on Instagram. Liam and me standing way too close under the lights. Comments started rolling in. "You two are adorable together," from someone who didn't know better. "Wait, are they?" from someone who did. Liam showed up at my door that night, eyes red. My mom saw the photo. She called crying, asking if I'm confused like her church friends warned about. He stepped inside, and I pulled him into a hug that lasted until we both stopped shaking. We sat on my couch until sunrise, talking about the future we might actually want instead of the one everyone else had planned for us. But every plan came with a price. Lost friends, disappointed parents, questions at work. The kiss in the tent had opened a door we couldn't close, and now the wind was howling through it. Sunday dinner at Liam's parents' house in Atlanta turned into the battlefield I had feared. His mom had set the table with her best china, the same way she always did when big announcements were coming. Liam had asked me to come for moral support, so I sat across from his father, a retired Marine who still called everyone son, and tried to eat pot roast like my stomach wasn't in knots. The conversation started normal. How was the festival? How's work? Until his mom slid her phone across the table with Sarah's Instagram post open. "Liam, honey, people are saying things. Is there something you want to tell us?" The room went silent, except for the ticking grandfather clock. Liam looked at me for half a second, then back at his parents. "Mom, Dad, I'm in love with Ethan." The words landed like grenades. His father's fork clattered against the plate. His mother's hand flew to her mouth. I sat frozen, heart hammering, while questions exploded around us. How long? Are you sure? What about Emily? What will the church say? Liam answered everyone with a steadiness I had never seen in him before. I'm sure, and I'm done pretending. His dad stood up, chair scraping loud enough to echo. We raised you better than this. The words cut deeper than any fight we'd ever had. Liam reached under the table and took my hand right there in front of them. That small act felt braver than anything either of us had done at Bonnaroo. We left before dessert. On the drive back to Nashville, Liam was quiet for miles. Then he said, I just lost my parents' approval in one sentence. But I gained you. I think that's the best trade I've ever made. Tears stung my eyes. At my apartment, we collapsed together on the couch, not kissing, just holding each other while the weight of the week pressed down. Work the next day brought its own storm. My boss pulled me aside and said someone had complained about inappropriate behavior after seeing the festival photo. No official warning yet, but the message was clear: be careful. Liam faced the same thing at his firm. Subtle questions, sidelong glances. That night, he showed up with a duffel bag. Can I stay here a while? Emily wants her key back, and my parents changed the locks on the Atlanta house. I said yes before he finished the sentence. Sharing a tent had started this. Now we were sharing a life, one uncertain day at a time. The following months tested every promise we had made in that rainy tent. Liam moved in officially, bringing his clothes and his fears. Nights were filled with long talks and quiet comfort. Days were filled with small battles. His sister called to say their parents were praying for him at church every Sunday. My own mom invited us to dinner and hugged Liam a little too tight, like she was trying to will acceptance into existence. At work, Marcus, the coworker who had always been friendly, suddenly stopped inviting me to lunch. Just don't want drama, he muttered one afternoon. The betrayal stung more than I expected. Liam lost a big account because the client didn't feel comfortable after hearing rumors. We sacrificed weekends we used to spend with old friends. Some of them simply faded away. One Saturday, we drove back to the Bonnaroo grounds, now empty and quiet, just to stand where the tent had been. Liam took my hand in the middle of the field. Remember how scared I was that night? He asked. I'm not scared anymore. I'm proud. We kissed right there under the open sky. No music, no crowd, just us and a memory of how one moment had rewritten our story. But the sacrifices kept coming. Liam's father had a heart scare and refused to let him visit the hospital. I watched my best friend cry in the parking lot of a Waffle House and felt helpless. That night, I held him until he fell asleep and made a promise to myself. I would never let him face this alone. We started small traditions, cooking terrible stir-fry together, binge-watching old sitcoms, taking weekend hikes where we could talk without walls. Slowly, the cracks began to heal. Liam found a new job at a smaller agency that didn't care who he loved. I got a promotion after proving my work spoke louder than any photo. Our circle grew smaller but stronger, filled with people who cheered instead of whispered. The journey had cost us family approval, old friendships, and months of sleepless nights, but it had given us something bigger, the freedom to be exactly who we were, together. A year after Bonnaroo, we stood on the same Tennessee field during the first weekend of the next festival. The tents were back, the music thumped, and the air smelled like possibility again. Liam wore the same faded band tee he had kissed me in. I wore the bracelet he gave me on our 6-month anniversary. We had survived the fallout, the therapy sessions, the awkward holidays, and the quiet mornings when doubt tried to creep back in. His parents still kept their distance, but his sister had started texting again. My mom sent us a housewarming plant for the little apartment we now shared. The world hadn't ended. It had simply reshaped itself around two men who chose honesty over safety. As the sun set behind the stages, Liam pulled me close. Thank you for staying through every storm, he whispered against my ear. I kissed him right there in the middle of thousands of strangers who didn't know our story and didn't need to. We had learned that love wasn't just the spark in a dark tent. It was the decision to keep the fire burning when the whole world tried to put it out. We walked back to our new tent, bigger this time, paid for with 2 salaries, and zipped it shut against the night. Inside, we talked about the future the way normal couples do. Vacations, maybe a dog, maybe one day a wedding if the laws kept changing. No more hiding. No more pretending. True or false. One unexpected kiss in a shared festival tent is worth risking everything. Family, friends, and a life you thought you were supposed to live.